talking about last time we were talking about the success stories, and we did see a video on why it happened. It so happened that in Indonesia it did not work out for 7-Eleven. Now I would like to talk more about Indian case as well. Have you heard about Pepper Tap? Anyone? Have you heard about Pepper Tap? None of you have heard about Pepper Tap. That tells that how old that story has become, but then it was one of the starting points where we see in India it largely failed. So I'll just share this video. So this is a video which I'm sharing is of case of a company called Pepper Tap. Okay, and this is sort of an interview of the person. He was CEO of Pepper Tap, and we will learn that why did it fail. Okay, and there are some points to take down from this, that their supply chain failed on what all fronts. Okay, so I'm starting the video now.
Thank you so much for joining us on 18 Hour
Is
Startup
it audible? Is it rightly
Central.
audible?
There's
It
an echo.
really can't be easy.
Okay.
Announcing a shutdown of services. And Navneet, thank you so much for joining us on 18 Hour Startup Central. It really can't be easy announcing a shutdown of services and pivoting to logistics. Take us through, the preceding few days, the factors that really culminated in this decision.
So I think the last few weeks have been actually quite difficult, as you rightly said. It's not an easy decision for us.
So, for the people who are joining late, this is a very old video, somewhere around 2016 or 15 or 16 video, where the Pepper Tap was one of the first online grocery stores,
A
even
startup of
before
our size
Big
to say
Basket
that,
or
okay, we're going to shut our doors now.
Grocers.
But it's a very well thought out process. We've basically looked at different options that we had. We've looked at what all things can we do. We've looked at, okay, what can happen in the future, and also looked at the real numbers that we had on the business. And in the end, the kind of justified call was that, okay, it probably makes sense to use the capital that we have for something else rather than the hyperlocal grocery delivery service, which is what PepperTap was. And getting everybody, investors, all the investors on board took a bit of time. I have a lot of investors on the board, so talking to these guys and getting them on board, I think the last few weeks been fairly difficult, but I think we made the right decision.
Right, Navneet, this is Krishna coming to you from 18 Hours Mumbai studios. Whenever hyper local was talked about over the last year, people always said it has poor unit economics because you lose so much cash.
So hyper local means you got hypermarts, but in densely populated areas, like we have Reliance Fresh. So that is hyper local, and the model of Pepper Tap was that you ask for anything, and they did not have a warehouse of their own. They were not storing their own. They were not storing things on their own, or unlike Grofer or Big Basket, they have warehouse of their own in every city they operate. But Pepper Tap, what it was doing is it was tying up with the local retailers and getting those things from the local retailers. They were listing. Still, we have such applications, but then they are at a very smaller scale.
Cash on every single order. I know it's easy to say, but I told you so. But didn't you just see this coming, or what led you to believe things would turn out otherwise for PepperTap?
Right. In terms of the unit economics and hyperlocal being not
So, unit economics, what he's saying is, let's say I need a brush. So, this pepper tap guy is going to, it's mostly using logistics, delivery person only, and they are having their own that standardized that approach is that today if you order now after half an hour or so it'll deliver it to your doorstep, and they mostly tied up with local delivery guys and all. But that model was in 2015 when you did not, there was no Uber or Ola, or there were no these things. I mean, they were not in a big scale. They were existing in some small, big cities, but they were not present everywhere in India.
not as good as some of the models in the short term. But one thing which is very clear is that in the long term, once you achieve a scale, hyperlocal unit economics are much better than any other model.
So what he's saying is, once you achieve a scale, the scale means that once you have sufficient customers and the volume of products which you are moving through your supply chain are large in number, then only it becomes beneficial to run these kind of ventures.
That you can employ in groceries. So we had a firm belief that okay, if we are able to achieve scale, our unit economics actually will look better than the others. The problem is getting to that scale is obviously a difficult. I mean, because the unit economics in the short term are not good, you need to have a lot more capital to be able to reach that scale, which is what we were not very confident that we'll be able to raise in the next 1 year or so.
So I don't know how many of you knew it that Paytm also had their grocery delivery services in 2015. They closed it before even other big basket or grocers were even popular.
Also, given the investment climate right now.
Navneet, are you disappointed that your investors, notably Sequoia and Snapdeal, didn't extend you a lifeline when you needed it the most?
So there was a time when Snapdeal was investing. So the things were different then. Snapdeal was a big online retailer. Besides, even Flipkart was good. Uh, there were a few other players as well which were doing good that time before Amazon came in. So uh, they were investing. They were investors, and Snapdeal and Sequoia, as the lady is saying, they were investors in PepperTap. They lost the faith and they did not do further investment. Actually, PepperTap gave huge discounts when I used to order a lot from this one. They used to give 25% off for every order, and the minimum was also was not minimum order quantity was I think 100 rupee or something like that. So I mean I remember I've taken a lot of benefit from this example of pepper tap, and they invested a lot and they burned the cash. So what, there's a term called burning cash. Burning cash means in order to appease your customers, in order to increase your customer base, you give lot of discounts initially. I think all of you must have seen that. First time if you use, you will get some discount, and then after that you don't get it. So you keep on changing your phone numbers and email IDs. How many of you have done that? Okay, one, I see. So only two people know that. Okay. So that's called burning cash. Means companies, investors even pay money, and then companies are going to give you huge discounts and all. And you've seen this retailers are against this. Local retailers often talk about this, that That's not good and all. So it's just to get you habitual to certain these companies, and then uh, once you get habitual, you start ordering. And meanwhile, with this, the companies, what they benefit is they start getting economies of scale. That means larger, they are able to get more volumes of larger demand they are able to get.
So look, I mean, the investors that I have on board have been completely with us. It's not that we've run out of money; we have enough money in the bank. It's just that we believe that the correct use of that money is probably not in hyperlocal groceries, but somewhere else at this point.
Navneet, while the news of you shuttering grocery delivery happened over the weekend, tell us how did Monday begin for you? What decisions did you have to make starting today?
I think people in the office knew over the last 1 week or so that this was going to happen. The news broke outside only last weekend, but to be honest, people in the office knew that this was going to happen, so they were fairly prepared for it.
And what has the reaction from customers really been, Navneet, over the last couple of days?
To be honest, a lot of our loyal customers have been saying that, okay, I mean, Pepper Tap is shutting down. It's just going to be a little more inconvenient to buy groceries. But I mean, it's not been that negative or positive. It's been fairly neutral. People understand it's a business, doesn't make money, fine. Okay, so, it has to shut down.
All right, Navneet, take us through why you want to pivot to third-party logistics and tell us how exactly will you go about it? Will this be in the hyper-local space again?
Sure. So look,
So
I mean, before
let
starting
me
Pepper
tell you
Tap,
first what is third party logistics. Uh, there are two ways with which you can ship your products, or you can get products shipped. One is to have your own fleet. Another one is to take a specialized delivery person, or take a company which specializes in delivery, like which aggregates across many. Let's we take example of delivery. So you might have seen that if you are ordering from certain company, let's say you order online from, let's say, Flipkart, or if you ordered from there's a company for kids products which is First Cry. So Express Bees is another third party logistic provider. So delivery or Express Bees, they specialize in providing. How many of you have heard this name, delivery or Express Bees? Okay, Carvey. Others, I request others also to respond so that I know that you are there or not. How many of you have heard about this name? Varun has heard about it. So Varun, can you tell me where with which company have you seen them getting tied up, and which name have you heard about?
It's a delivery.
Okay, delivery. So what all companies ship through delivery?
So I have seen
Okay,
boat products were shipped by delivery.
okay, good. And Carvi also raised her hand.
So
So
Amazon, I have seen Amazon products being shipped by delivery.
okay, so Express Bees you have not heard. Okay, anyway, there's another company, Express. Similarly to Express Bees, there are many others. Our own Indian post office service is a third party logistic provider. Okay, so they provide you services of delivery. And what do they benefit out of it? Why are they successful? I mean, why are they not closing like Pepper Tap? So let's try to compare and contrast the function of the two. These third party logistic providers, how are they able to sustain their businesses? They're aggregating orders of many people together. Like they may be aggregating order from Flipkart, they're aggregating order from Amazon, they're aggregating order from Boat or any other company. So they are able to achieve economies of scale, and how they are delivering is also very important. They have algorithms which tells that in what should be the routing of the delivery boy, so that the fuel spent on delivery is minimum, something like this. So that's how the third party logistics provider, or you can say if you talk about larger players, you have DHL, you have FedEx. These are all international players in third party logistics. So now what this guy is saying is that PepperTap is now going to focus more on the logistics part only, and uh, not focusing only on grocery. Okay, they are withdrawing themselves from grocery delivery, and rather than with another name probably, they are going into logistics. So this guy has seen the business actually existing. The problem is that with PepperTap, you were only catering to the grocery, so your economies of scale were less. But had you been catering to different products and across different portfolios, portfolio means क्या क्या चीजें और आ सकती है उसके अंदर, क्या क्या चीजें आप डिलीवर कर सकते हैं. So he wants to diversify. So close the online grocery. Don't call yourself to be an online grocery uh, retailer, but rather become a third-party logistic provider. What this is their plan.
App, we had started NuvoX, which is an e-commerce focused reverse logistics company. That business still continues, and we're going to expand that.
So reverse logistics means that uh, you might have often seen that people who come to I mean you have, I think all of you have done that one thing. You might have ordered from some clothes and all, and then you returned it. How many of you have done that? Ordered something and then returned it? I think everyone. I don't see there'll be anyone who has not done it. So that is reverse logistics. I assume that in class everyone has done that, and probably some of you might have even worn that in a party and returned it. How many of you have done that? That no one's going to tell. Okay, so I mean that thing also people do. So there is a different company which delivers. So it's not necessary that every company or every third party logistic provider will be a reverse logistics, because in reverse logistics you are more accountable. You are returning something, so one has to check whether it has been used earlier or not. Is there a real damage in it, or why are you returning, the probable reason which you have stated. So everyone doesn't go into reverse logistics because they are liable. If you take a return of a product which is not eligible for return, then you will have to pay for that. Okay, so reverse logistics, not every company is specializing in that. So especially electronic products, right? So I mean, you also know that there is no wear and tear as such in electronic products. So if some product you received and it's not working, you never know. It was done by a customer. It happened because of the negligence of the customer, or because of. So reverse logistics is a. So this guy says we are going into reverse logistics.
That further now. So reverse logistics will be one of the parts. Then we'll also start looking at forward logistics, both in hyperlocal and in the normal traditional format. So all of these three will become different business lines within NuvoX now.
So there was a time that Grofers was also doing the same. They saw that PepperTap is doing it, and since it was also in a startup only, Grofers, they felt that. In fact, in Jaipur, it was cancelled for a good 1 year. So its operations were closed for some time in Jaipur, and they have changed their uh, way they operate. Earlier, they had small warehouses. They were only keeping, like I'm talking about Grofers right now. They were keeping only products which were fast moving in their own warehouse. So the capacity of warehouse was small. While they were also so they were having hybrid model. They were having their own warehouse, and at the same time they were doing what PepperTap was doing, that going to local stores, and they tied up with some big local stores which had higher capacity, and a customer can choose that get the product from which store because the prices varied. Okay, so but then Grofers got their gear back while PepperTap uh, withdrew itself from the operations.
You justified, the pivot to logistics, but what kind of investment is this going to involve, and are you poised for that, prepared for that going forward?
We have enough money in the bank to start the logistics business. At this point, we are not looking for capital.
All right, so you do have enough money in the bank at this point in time as well. Navneet, we have a segment.
So another learning could be that it doesn't, you don't need to be bankrupt to stop a company. I mean, to stop your operations or abandon your business. You don't need to be bankrupt. So what they are withdrawing from market, but then investing in another segment.
Segment called Three Mistakes on this show, where we ask entrepreneurs to recount the three mistakes that they made that others can learn from. Now that we're doing the special chat, tell us what would be your three mistakes, as Pepper Tap's founder.
Sure. I think the first one was scaling up too fast.
So I think all of you should give uh, some attention over here. That is telling that why did they fail. Okay, so three mistakes is going to tell that why did they fail. So first one he's saying is that scaled up too fast. Scaling up too fast means that I started my operations in, let's say, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and yeah, okay. So and Calcutta, let's say. So I did my operations there for 2 3 months. I found that it is successful. So immediately I went to B class cities. I went to Ahmedabad. I went to Jaipur, and I started doing business in 10 more cities. So that's called scaling up too fast. Okay.
Without actually fixing the ground issues in terms of kind of the integration that you need with the stores.
So this is a supply chain problem, which is saying that scaling up too fast is one issue. And because of this, if you scale up too fast, uh, then what would happen is that the integration, what he's saying is that app is there. So in app, you have to do integration of the customer with the local stores, and that's all. Like software issues are there in that. There are, other than software issues, there are social issues also. How much people are uh, conversant with the technology, and how are they understanding the app or not. So there are other issues also. So this called integration. Now integration is that there'll be a corporate office. In the corporate office there'll be terminals there, there'll be a server, and this server has to be integrated, and the apps have to be integrated with the server, and there wherever there is a local office also has to be there somewhere in Jaipur, like they are doing operations in Jaipur, so they have to have a local um, office also, which will also have a terminal which will be integrated with the systems of. So there will be a customer side of the app, and there will be a uh, seller side of the app. So and there will be third part. I mean, their delivery boy is also going to use that app, which the interface would be different for that. So all that integration. Okay, so integration, that also is an issue, because when you are scaling up fast, your server may not support it, or there'll be bugs in your application. So if the bug is there in the application of a customer, uh, then he's placing an order while he did not receive, and your delivery boy did not receive the order uh, while customer has placed it, and or the store has not received the order, then that did not pack. So it all uh, actually. So let's take a very small problem. You placed an order. The order should be received by both the delivery boy, and at the same time it should be received by the store also, so that store is ready with the package. Okay, same thing goes with Zomato or Swiggy also. So the package should be ready. Now when the delivery boy reaches the store, the package was not ready because the store did not receive the order, or okay, now whatever the technical reason, maybe it did not receive the order, Now the store boy is standing there for another half an hour because there are already some customers physically standing at the store to purchase. So what's going to happen? Lead time will be more. The customer didn't will not receive it on time. So there'll be an apprehension developing in the yeah, time पे मिलता नहीं है नहीं मंगाना इससे. Okay, and the delivery boy is also just wasting time. So in a way he's getting paid and you're uh, not delivering. So lead times are becoming higher. So this is actually a very big problem in supply chain where lead time, how to handle the lead time, how to reduce the lead time, how to manage the variability in the lead time. These are all the problems which come.
So one was not solving that issue fast enough. Second was scaling too fast without solving the first one, and third was just bad timing in terms of the investment climate. I think these were the three ones.
Navneet, Peppertap is not alone in the pain that the space has seen. I mean, if you look at it, Flipkart nearby has shut down, Paytm Zippy has shut down.
So nearby, how many of you have heard about nearby? How many of you have heard about nearby?
So there was one that gave like nearby offers and all.
Actually, nearby lately has become a discount. I mean, a coupon app where you get coupons, right?
Yeah.
But it was not so earlier. It was there even before Flipkart was there, where you can purchase things online. Okay, I'm talking about 2008, 9, 10, that time. So later on, it was acquired by Flipkart, and then Flipkart shut it down. So they were actually one of the first players in grocery. I mean, not grocery, even online purchasing.
Ola Cafe and store have shut down, and even local Banya have suspended operations. So, what is the future going to be, considering you now have Amazon, Grofers, and Big Basket competing here?
So look, I think online grocery will take a long time to crack, but the two or three players who will crack it will actually become fairly big. So it's not that we're not bullish on.
So actually, that's what happened. If you can, I mean, this is 2016, 5 years back. So as this guy is saying that they'll become big, and that's what has happened.
Online groceries. It's just that the unfortunate sort of timing that we have right now, we are not the ones who are going to crack it.
Navneet, this begs the question, will the ones with deep pockets only survive then? Because, at the end of the day, a profitable business model hasn't emerged yet.
I think it's going to be a balance between capital raise and execution. Obviously, just capital doesn't win. You have to execute it right. And the
So executing in terms of supply chain management, we generally call it operations. So you have to do the operations correctly. Okay. So execution is like doing operations of the supply chain correctly.
players who have enough capital and execute it right will win.
Namni, the painful part now, of course, is going to be
So we've done this in the past. You just have to be sensitive of what
And
you're
this is
actually
HR
doing.
part,
You
so
have to
we are
understand again
skipping
at
that.
this point also.
Navneet, I wanted to ask you,
Any such issues in the past, and we don't expect to face such issues again at this point also.
are you and the senior management staying on then to drive the logistics business?
So yes, the founding team remains the same. We have a completely different team for the logistics thing already in place. And next month onwards, we'll start building that piece fairly fast.
Navneet, curious too, I'm sure Peppertap employees are counting on you for all the support they can get during these trying times. But who have you been really turning to in the last few days for emotional support? Uh,
Navneet, what were the kind of learnings that the last few days gave for you, which you believe other entrepreneurs can learn from?
I think the important learning that I have is get the product right first and then scale it up at the right pace. I think these two things are fairly important for any startup. do not rely on a lot of discounting and stuff, which is what we did for to a certain extent.
So I did tell you that they give a lot of discounting initially. So they burned the money.
And look at the right business metrics, you should be able to sort of execute it right then.
Navneet, I know hindsight is always 2020, but if you have to go back and change that one thing about your business that could have changed things for you, what would that be?
I think the decision to scale, when we took, we should have probably given it more time. I would change that.
Navneet, you believe that you grew a little too fast?
Decision to scale up uh, beyond Gurgaon, I think we should have given it a little more time.
What is the answer then really going to be? I mean, does India need more time for online grocery? What is the future here considering, there is high cash burn, the cost of customer acquisition is high, and there's no real
So this lady pointed out cost of customer acquisition is high. So cost of customer acquisition simply means that you are providing a very good customer service, and at the same time you are giving discounts. So cost of customer, that's what you say is cost of customer acquisition.
loyalty because it's all driven by discount. So what's the future going to be here?
No, I think there will definitely be two or three big players in online grocery in India 3 to 4 years from now. Who will those be? This is what we'll have to see. So it's not that online grocery is going to be dead. I think it's a fairly big opportunity and people will crack it. It's just that who we'll have to see.
All right, Navneet, man to man, tell me what will you be doing over the next few days?
Okay, so this was the case of Pepper Tap. Now we go ahead. Let's talk about the business model, or not even the business model. What are the structures which we have in India and US? Let's compare the two. There's a striking dissimilarity in the distribution market, or the how does environment affect uh, supply chain management from country to country or environment to environment. So we can say here that let's talk about fast moving consumer goods, for the simple reason that we are all equally connected with fast moving consumer goods. We are all the time, from the time we wake up in morning, we are using toothbrush, toothpaste, we are using soaps, uh, we are using creams and powders, and then we are using many other things throughout the day. Fast moving consumer goods. So how do they vary in US and India? Let's make it on a let's divide US and India and then compare that. So let's talk about US and India. Here we put US, here we put India. So in US, I will say that is consolidated retailing. What is the meaning of consolidated retailing? They have hyper local markets, or they have big supermarkets. They don't have small stores. As far as FMCG, right now we are talking only about FMCGs. Okay, they have consolidated retailing. While India, what we have? Anyone? Anyone would like to say anything? In India, what kind of retailing do we have? I'm talking by and large, considering there are rural areas also in India, and they are large in number as compared to the urban areas. So in India, we have scattered retailing. And we have large number of retailers. While in US large number of they have large retailers. They don't have large number of retailers, but they have large retailers. That is, they are bigger in size, bigger in volume. Those retailers. The second difference is uh, in US. Do we need distributor? Do we need a distributor in US? If we compare the environment of United States and India, in which country would we need a distributor? Yes, give your answers. Type your answer in the chat box. US and India. If we compare US and India, in which country there is a more requirement of distributor? Yes, I'm looking for some answers in the chat box. Karvi says India, we need more distributors. Why do you think so, Karvi?
So because the retailers are pretty much scattered, so the number of distributors, like the way to reach them, like the
Yeah,
requirement is more.
very good. So, thing is, there are two reasons why do we need more distributors in India. First, India is a large country, and there are retailers, small retailers located in small villages, and they are small in size. So how do you reach them? How does the product reach them? A company can't directly ship it over there. So you need an intermediary, like there will be an intermediary located in every district in India who is going to stock the products for all the small retailers, right? Then in US, while in US these are not the stores are not located in main residential areas. Mostly the except some big cities, the stores are located in suburban areas. Like you have to go 20 kilometers, 15 kilometers, or even 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, like those kind of distances you have to cover. So small retailers will not be able to survive because the scale you need, the amount of quantity that you need to store to handle few customers. You can't handle few customers in a day and have a retail shop. You need to have large customers in a day. So in order to have large customers, you need to have larger variety, larger store, and everything. So in a way, you are a distributor only, and there's because there's no small retailer. So distributor use is nullified, while India it is required. Okay, and the third point of distinction could be uh, the nature of the orders. Uh, in US, people would go out on weekends to do their grocery shopping. So large orders and less frequent replenishment. Large orders and less frequent replenishment. Replenishment means getting the products or purchasing and then filling your inventory again. So that is replenishment. So there are the orders by the customers are generally large in size, and they do it once in a month or something like this. While in India you have small orders. Why small orders? Because you can afford to do that. The shop is very close to you. So small orders and frequent replenishment. replenishment, more frequent. So these are some striking features of difference between FMCGs in India and US, especially talking about supply chain. Okay, uh, I think it must be clear. Now, when you are, so it's all about decision making. One thing that you would understand is that uh, for an engineer doing supply chain management course who reaches at a managerial position, it's mostly about taking decisions. So, uh, decision is not something that they lie at the same level. There are three levels of the decisions. We say levels of decisions or level of decision making. You can say first level is strategic level, that is making supply chain strategy. The second is supply chain planning. And the third one is supply chain operations. These are the three levels of decision making in supply chain. I will talk about it in detail in the next class, but for now, let me just give you a brief about each of these levels. So supply chain strategy happens at the top level, like the owners of the company and the board. Okay, and like you are doing long-term investment. The duration of these kind of decisions is sort of long-term, like in terms of 5 years, 10 years. You're doing an investment, opening a new manufacturing plant, or uh, going with third-party logistics provider, or having your own fleet for distribution. That is counted in supply chain strategy. Then you have supply chain planning, which are intermediary decisions like 6 months to 1 year. These kind of decisions like forecasting, demand forecasting, uh, deciding your inventory policies, that you will order every month, or you will order whenever the inventory goes below certain level. So that is supply chain planning. And then supply chain operations, which are weekly and daily basis, which happens in weekly and the daily basis, like scheduling your deliveries. Okay, the routing of your delivery boy. Okay, uh, so these are your decisions which happens on almost daily basis. Okay, so any doubts in today's lecture? So we will be continuing our lecture from here, levels of decision making in supply chain, in the next class. So if you have any doubts, you can tell me now. Uh, I'm also uh, showing you I'm sending the link for attendance. So give your attendance also.